I speak unto thee this day, and I say that I desire that my own people would realize how important it is to walk in obedience unto me. That is, that they would know, understand, and realize that in the obedience unto me they shall indeed find my life. For I say there are multitudes who claim that they are my people, yet I say they do not put any strength into their walk with me. That is, they think if they know me in thought that is sufficient, but it is not true. For I say that I, the living God, delight in a people who are doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving themselves. That is, I do find pleasure in the ones who will come forth ever strengthened, directed, and guided by me. And I say that I do find pleasure in the ones who will give themselves over to be ever brought forth in the truth, the life, the strength that I provide. For I say it is me, the living God, and me alone, that you are meant to seek, to please, to obey, and follow after. I say this day that I, the living God, do not intend that you would be walking in a way that is far from me. I say that I do not intend that you would live your life merely for what it is that you must have in the flesh. But I say that I intend that you would live your life for what it is that you must indeed bring forth in me. For I say it is me, the living God, and me alone you are meant to seek to be pleasing, walking in obedience unto all of your days. For I say when you keep your focus upon me, you will see that I, the living God, do give thee the opportunity, the privilege to overcome in this life. That is, that you do not need to be helpless and hopeless, that you do not need to be destitute of truth, but if you will take the revolutionary action that I require of my own, you can indeed overcome. But I say if you ever give yourself to murmuring and complaining and laziness, you will overcome nothing at all. I say you are living in a time when multitudes who say that they are my people are lacking in overcoming strength and power. And I say it is because they refuse to exercise themselves in the mind of my spirit, that is, they shun the same. And I say instead they lend themselves to complete carnality until they are ruled by the beast that lurks within them. Then I say they complain and murmur all the more because they have no life in me. But I say they are the ones who suffocate that life, put out that life, and refuse to obey the commands of my spirit. And I say they do it because they do not want to exert any effort at all in the spiritual dimension. But I say they are living in a mindset that everything should automatically be handed over and given unto them. And I say that the mindset that they are ruled by is nothing but lies. I say this day there is no reason to be totally limp and lifeless. There is no reason to be hopeless. There is no reason to be far from me. For I say when a man will give himself to lifelessness, to hopelessness, to futility and despair, I say it is because he is harboring rebellion and anger against me. That is, he is thinking that he's justified to make no effort at all to overcome in the way that I provide. And I say that it is because within he has rebellion and literally hatred for me. I say there are multitudes who are in such a condition, and I say they refuse to see themselves. That is, they refuse to face the iniquity, the beastliness of their own carnality, so I say they limp along in the same. That is, ever grumbling, murmuring, and complaining, and offering excuses for their own lack of activity in me. That is, the activity against their own carnality, the activity against demons and devils, and the activity against the world. That is, they refuse to exert any effort at all towards the furtherance of their spiritual life. Then they think that I will listen to their whining, their complaining, their murmuring. I say they are blinded fools. For I say they have chosen to adhere unto what it is that the beast spews forth, what it is that demons declare, and what it is that the world promotes rather than me. Now I say that I, the living God, never called thee to suck after the world, nor to believe the lies of the liar, nor even to be overwhelmed by your own carnality. For I say when you do that, you prove you are in disobedience towards me. I say this day that I, the living God, do not call my people to be ruled by the beastly nature that is in the heart of every man. But I say that I call my people to seek to overcome and likewise be made overcomers in me. For I say, if you put your effort into overcoming, you will find that I, the living God, do strengthen thee in the same. But I say, if you put your effort into satisfying the beast, you will find that it's never satisfied. And I say, no matter how clever the beast is in covering its trail, I say that it only leaves one thing behind. And I say that is the stench of death, because it is sought to devour and destroy. For I say that the beast in you will be satisfied when you end in a heap, destitute of the faith. But I say, if you seek to overcome that beast, you will come forth victorious in me. Now I say, when you look at the beastly attitudes, the beastly dispositions, and the beastly appearance of men and women in this hour, why do you think it is? I say it is because they have abandoned overcoming and prevailing, and taken up the way of laziness and sloth, and accusation and excuse-making, and think they are all right in the same. And I say they are blinded fools, for I say they are taken down the road by the beastly nature within them, that is, the road of their own despair. I say there are countless multitudes even now who live in depression day after day, because they have overindulged the beast. That is, they have listened to the demon forces, they have listened to their own carnality, and I say they have ceased to overcome. And I say they have caved in to the world, so they no longer can say they've overcome the world, but they can see and they can say that the world has easily overcome them. And I say they are going on down the road of defeat until they face their own damnation. Now I say that I, the living God, never called my people to such a weak and spineless mindset. No, not at all. But I say that I've called my people to fight the good fight, to declare war against the forces of darkness that would overwhelm them. And I say that I've called my people to be ever looking unto me, believing and trusting, for I am indeed well able. I say it is me, the living God, who is indeed the way of truth and light, strength and mercy, and the purpose intended for my own. And I say, if my people would humble themselves, if they would discipline themselves, if they would harness themselves, they would find that they could easily overcome. That is, that they could overcome their own carnality in the form of its beastliness. They could overcome the demons and the devils that rant and rage, and they could overcome the world. But I say, because my own people refuse to be subject to me, then I say that they cannot have subjectivity over the spirits of darkness, nor can they have rulership over their own carnality, because they have refused to be subject to me. I say this day that I, the living God, do count the measure of a man, the measure of a woman, as to how much they will overcome. That is, how much they will yield their members unto me, that they can indeed be overcoming the forces of darkness that are raging on every hand. Now stop and consider, when the beast within thee will rant and rage and demand and command, when it gets its way, what does it do? Oh yes, it may be pacified for the moment, but I say that it seeks for the next thing that it can devour. And I say, if you are ever yielding to your own carnality, your own beastliness, you will find yourself very weak and emaciated in spirit. For though you may be fat and flourishing in the flesh, I say you will be skinny and scrawny in the spirit. You will be weak and emaciated, and I say you will be feeble-minded. I say this day, what a terrible way to go when you could be strong in me. That is, when you could be full of the vigor, the strength, the life of who I am, coming forth triumphant in my way. That is, when you could be uplifted in that which I give thee, which is the truth and the light upon thy path, that you can indeed come forth rejoicing in me. For I say, through me, the living God, you are given the light and the truth, the strength and the mercy and the peace always. And I say that I, the living God, do know the ones who will continue steadfast in me till they have overcome. That is, overcome their own carnality, overcome the demons and the devils, and overcome the world. For I say that I, the living God, do not call my people to be weak, feeble, and defeated, but I call my people to be victorious in me. That is, ever thankful that they can come forth prevailing, that they can come forth overcoming the world, that they can come forth victorious over the demon forces, and likewise over their own carnality. For I say, even though those forces of darkness will cleverly seek to deceive, you do not need to be deceived and ensnared. But I say that you can come forth triumphant and victorious, because it is me that you serve. Now I say, if you are trusting in yourself, in your own reasoning, in your own understanding, of course you are trusting in lies. For I say that if you think the carnal nature goes to sleep and stops warring against the Spirit, it is not true. For I say that the war is perpetual, it is going on, as long as you are in your mortal flesh. And I say you must learn to strike out against it, to overcome it, until you are continuing to prevail in me. I say this day you would be amazed at the cleverness of your own carnality, at the cleverness, the scheming of demons, and of course the cleverness of the world. That is, in seeking to ensnare and entrap thee, in seeking to keep you in a place of defeat and despair and discouragement, to keep you in a place where you are merely a carnal beast. For I say, when you give way to the conniving of your own flesh, the conniving of demons, and of course the wickedness of the world, you are giving way to that takes your strength in me. That is, you are giving way to the very forces that seek to suffocate, that seek to vampire your life's blood till you have nothing left at all. That is, nothing of your relationship with me, nothing of truth and light, strength and power and glory, and the way that I provide. I say this day, do not be as the foolish who easily believe their own carnality and give way to the same. For I say you will find, when you've caved in to the ranting of your own carnality, that its agenda will be to utterly devour and destroy. And I say the truth is likewise with demons. If they can get you to take a step down the slippery pathway to sin and damnation, they will edge and edge and edge you forward until you are destroyed. And I say all the while you may imagine that you are not in obedience to sin, but it is not true. For I say that the wages of sin is death, and those who give in to sin will find themselves devoured. I say this day that I, the living God, have called my people to overcome in all points whereby I have given them the battle to do. And I say that I've not called my people to be limp as wrung out rags, ever thinking they can whine and give me their procrastinations, their excuses, their justifications for their failures in me. For yes, indeed, I, the living God, desire performance of excellence out of my people, and I say that I have the right to do so. And I say, when my people will think they are justified in their disobedience, it is simply because they are rebellious against me. Now I say that I, the living God, do give thee the standard, I give thee the measure. I say, will you seek to come up to the same? Or will you be bowing to your own whining and sniveling, your own carnality, and the cleverness, the trickery that is involved in that? For I say, if you are trusting in yourself, you are trusting in a liar, you are trusting in a hog, you are trusting in one who is ever full of cunning craftiness. But I say, if you are trusting in me, you are trusting in the truth. I say this day, if a man will clearly see that he carries the sentence of death within his own carnality, then I say he can do warfare against the same. But I say, if a man is deceived enough to trust himself, he is trusting in that which will destroy him. I say this day, why not toughen up against you? Why not toughen up against demons and the world and overcome, that you can be remaining in me? That is, that you can be in the company of overcomers who are received into the glories that I provide. That you can be a people who are militant and standing strong in the truth because they are loving me. I say, give thanks and praise.